Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Valpo Football Preview, along with head coach Dave Cicchini. This is Todd Eichow. Today we'll start by taking a look back at what was kind of a long Saturday, Coach, at Campbell. You went into the game knowing everything had to go right for you to stay in the game, and things went right early, but after that, their superior talent was maybe the biggest factor.
Yeah, no question. I mean, the game started out exactly as we would have hoped. We got a quick turnover after Demetrius kicked a great kickoff to start the game, got the ball in their territory, drove down, had a great fourth down conversion to keep a drive alive, and went up 7-0. And from that point, things are going great. And then a combination of the talent and the level of execution that Campbell played at. The weather turned bad when we went on offense. We had rain, we had wind that came out of nowhere, and we did a very poor job of handling that type of adversity.
You know, you say adversity, there are unbelievable peaks and valleys in every football season. This season's really seen it.
Yeah.
And the first few ball games, certainly Duquesne and Montana, the ability you guys showed in those couple ball games, we thought, when we get into conference play, you're not going to see teams like that. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, we saw one team that's similar to that. But how do you get through those peaks and valleys? They're just college kids. Granted, anything can happen. They're just, football players, and they're going to go through normal ups and downs. But as a coach, how do you get through that?
Yeah, well, you address it by saying it's one play at a time, one practice at a time, one game at a time, and you learn from your mistakes and you win the next play. And that's really what we talked about at halftime. We went through all that adversity with the weather and a couple of big plays by Campbell and falling behind. But our players really believe and they adhere to that type of mentality. We came out in the second half and we technically won the second half. They kept in most of their starters for the entire game. I think trying to put it out of reach, and our players dug down deep. We played a great second half defensively, and offensively, we lost Jimmy Seawald to injury, but we managed to put together some really nice drives. Didn't quite finish them in the end, but we got a field goal and we're able to close the gap, not as much as we would have liked, but still we were able to recover from that type of adversity that happened in the first half.
All right, and Jimmy got hurt during the first half. What is the future going forward?
Well, we're going to see. He's going to be week to week. He tweaked his quad on early on the first drive, our first touchdown drive, and then on the last play of the first half, scrambling, he felt it again. So we held him out the second half, and he's going to be day-to-day here. We'll see. Hopefully we can get him back possibly Wednesday or Thursday practicing, but time will tell.
You said you guys won the second half. I guess that is in many ways encouraging, and it says that the ability is certainly there because this was an incredibly talented team you faced.
Sure. I mean, they had a couple of big-time Division I transfers, just big, fast, secondary leading the nation in interceptions, and we did those, we knew that going in, and unfortunately we didn't adhere to those rules. If we can't turn the football over, we have to be smart with the football. We had 4 turnovers on, 3 on offense with the interceptions, and then the snafu with dropping the punt in the rain and having that recovered and returned for a touchdown. But they're immensely talented offensively, defensively, and special teams. Probably the most dominant team in the 3.5 years that I've been involved with PFL play, just from an athletic standpoint.
And you look at their first 2 weeks in PFL play, it's kind of similar formula. They come out and they just take charge of the game and it's over by halftime.
Right.
That we haven't seen anything like that in the PFL in a long time. Maybe 8-10 years ago, San Diego had a few years like that, where most of the games were over at halftime. That's unusual.
Right. And fortunately for us, this is Campbell's final year in the PFL. They are moving on with scholarships and moving into the Big South Conference. So they'll be off our schedule next year, and I think that's a good thing.
We don't have to worry about Campbell anymore. You had talked about we got to get more pressure up front. We've got to get pressure on the quarterback. We saw signs of that in the second half, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And like I said, our players hung in there defensively. We forced a number of 3-and-outs. And it wasn't like Campbell was just handing the ball off 3 times. They were trying to stick to their game plan. We did a great job with our adjustments. We got some pressure, forced them into making some bad throws. Still looking to get some sacks, and we've got to continue to get better with that. And it'll be challenging again coming up here this week against Marist, against a quarterback who's relatively mobile as well.
All right, tell us about Marist, a team that appears not to be upper echelon of the league, but certainly is not They haven't ever been a bottom dweller in this league. Where do they sit right now?
Well, they're 3-3, 2-1 in the league. It's a good, solid football team. Well coached. They've got a lot of experience on the offensive side of the ball. They're relatively balanced. As I said, they've got a quarterback who is a pretty good thrower, but he can hurt you in the run game as well. They've got the top wide receiver in the PFL, Christian, who leads the PFL in receptions. He's always a threat. We're going to have to know where he is at all times. And on the defensive side of the ball, they just play great team defense. They're a 3-down front that uses a lot of different multiple looks and blitzes and coverages, and they swarm to the football. They do a nice job, and in some cases they kind of dare you to throw it and whatnot. So it's going to be a challenging game. But you're right, they're not athletically quite at that level of a Montana or a Duquesne or a Campbell. So hopefully something more in our neighborhood, and we can hang in there with a great week of practice.
On a positive note, I thought we saw Gene Renee kind of get back to what we had seen in the first couple of years, maybe healthier, whatever it is. He looked like a different player this past Saturday than what we had seen in past weeks.
Yeah, he did. He stepped up, made some great catches in traffic. I believe he had 6 catches on the day, was our leading receiver. And he's battling through a hip issue that's bothered him really some of the past 2 years. It's a chronic thing, and he's a tough kid. He just fights through it and works hard. And it was good to see him have some success out there in this game because he's worked so hard to get there.
Talk about kids getting back from injury. We had thought Jack Jernigan would be out a while. He actually missed 1 ball game. How did he play and how did he hold up?
He held up relatively well. We didn't play him the entire game, but he played the majority of the football game, and he stepped up in there and did a pretty good job against some talented defensive linemen. All
right, good luck Saturday. Had a great crowd a week ago, and hopefully a great crowd this Saturday against Marist.
That's right, Todd.
For head coach Dave Cicchini, this is Todd Eichow. Thanks for joining us this week on Valpo Football Preview.